So hello again in another exciting tutorial about PlayMaker, Unity and PlayMaker with me Romi Fauzi. And in this episode we are going to continue our Photon Unity networking projects, and we are going to create a scoring system. So here we are going to give an identity on each of the player that are shooting the bullets. We are going to save its name, the player who shoots the fire, who shoots the bullet, and then we are going to add a score to each of the player when the player kills an opponent. So let's do this. Okay, I'm going to open the I've opened the Photon Unity networking since tutorial Unity, and we are going to continue where we left off. So here we are going to go to the PlayMaker editor, and I'm going to choose the player prefabs. So this is our prefabs, okay? And we are going to, under the shooting FSM, we are going to retrieve the player name. So we are going to use the Photon get player properties, I think. Where is it? Get owner properties. This one, Photon view get owner properties. So we are going to get the owner, and then we are going to store the name to a new variable. So create a new variable, owner name. Okay, and then we are going to include that name to our build string here. So add a new string parts to 3, and for this element 2 we are going to store the owner name. So we will have 3 different string combined in a RPC params string, and the string are going to be sent by this Photon view RPC broadcast FSM event. Now we need to separate that. So here we are going to get the array, because this string split will result a 3 members in this params array. So now we are getting from the first member, and this is from the second member. This is the position, and this is the direction, and we are going to duplicate this action. And the third one, the index should be 2 because index starts from 0, and we are going to create a new variable called owner, or not owner, player shoots, or okay, just save it as player name. And then after this, okay, and then we are going to edit our bullets prefabs. So here we are shooting the bullets prefabs, and for the bullet prefabs under our FSM we need to create a new variables string. So here I've created player name string, and we are going to store our player name inside this variable. So go back to our player prefabs, and in the state here, sorry, not player prefabs, the shoot manager, after creating object we are going to set FSM string. So set an FSM string, put it on top of below the create object, and choose the bullet fire, and the FSM name it's bullet damage, I think. Let's see the FSM name, I forgot. Bullet damage. Okay, go back to shoot manager, bullet damage, sorry, bullet damage with capital B and capital D, and the variable name is player name, and we are going to set the value from our player name here. So the player who gets hit with this bullet will know who the player who shot the bullet. Okay, so now next, this is a bit fiddly topic. It may took a bit longer than the other episodes, so just please bear with me, and if you have any questions, just put it in the comment below. Okay, so next we need to under the game manager, we need to set a name. In order to set a name, we need to create a new UI first. So under canvas, I'm going to create an input field here, and for this input field, I'm going to set the transform to bottom right here, and let's move this text here, maybe put it on top on the join room, and scale this so it aligns with create room. It doesn't matter actually. And here for the placeholder, I'm going to rename the text to enter name. Okay, so under game manager, we are going to set a I'm going to set a the photon name. So let's, I think this photon set player name, and we are going to use the UGUI input text input field get text. So we are going to get the text from our input field, and for the input field, just drag the input field here to the specify game object here, and create a new variable called name, and we are going to store this string. We are going to set the player name to the string that we have typed before, so put this on top here. And then the next thing that we need to do is to wait. We're going to set up this later, but I'm going to copy this UGUI input field get text, and both of this action, copy it, and I'm going to paste this to our join. So we will have a name this moment. When we start playing, we need to fill the name first, and then we can start playing. Okay, save your scene. And now this is more heavier stuff. I'm going to create a new UI, a panel, and let's make this panel smaller, so maybe around the canvas. Okay, I'm going to change the pixel size to scale with screen size under the canvas here, and make this a 0.5 match. And for the panel, this is, I'm going to delete the image. We don't need the image. Make this a smaller size here. This is for showing our score later, so set to a round value 100. Yeah, okay, that should be enough, or maybe a smaller value. Okay, and let's rename this core panel. Add a new panel below as the child. Yep, and I'm going to add a new panel also here, and make this smaller, around 30. Okay, and this will be the name group. Duplicate this and slide this to the side over here, and this should be the score group. Okay, so now next we are going to add a vertical layout group. So this vertical layout group will lay out our text automatically vertically, and disable the child force expand on the height, so it will the height size will stay the same, and just add 5 on each of the padding and also the spacing. Okay, and I'm going to copy this component and paste this to the score group. So paste this as new, and let's create a new text UI here. Text. Okay, I just press the anchor preset and choose the bottom here, so it fits to our name vertical layout group, and I'm going to choose best fit and make this maximum size to 20, so the text is slightly bigger. Okay, so now for this text we are going to save this as a prefab. So I'm going to create a new folder. This is for the done project, and drag this back. This is the prefab that I've been tested before. So okay, here I'm going to drag this prefabs, and I'm going to rename this score entry. Okay, so let's delete this, and now we are going to create the score panel FSM. So add a new FSM, and basically we need to create a new event. So I'm going to create a new event called reset table, and make sure that reset table is a global event. Add that global transition to reset table. So basically what reset table is going to do is we are going to check how many players on our scene in this state, and we are going to retrieve the name, and then when we retrieve the name, we will create a new text object under the name and the score, and we will put the name onto this text. So it will index every player on our room, or on our room, and it will show each player that has already connected in this score panel. So now loop player name, rename the state to loop player name, and we are going to use the Photon get next player properties. So, and we need to make sure that self is included, so create a new variable self include, and set this variable to a true value. So this will make sure that the player, also self, will be included in this loop. And we are going to create a new variable for the player name, and we are going to create that variable. We need to create a new event also called loop, and I'm going to add the loop transition and also finish transition here. And for the loop event, we are going to set loop as the event, and for the finish, set finish. Okay, so on the loop we are going to go to the state, if it's finished, and go to the second state and rename this to idle. And this state we are going to check our entry. So check entry exist. So basically what we are going to do is we are going to find child. So under the name object, we are going to find the child name with name. So we are going to find the child from this name group here with the name that we have retrieved from this action. So if it's already exists, don't do anything. So I'm going to create a new variable called name object. This is a game object, and we are going to check is game object is null. So basically, if the name object is null, it that means that this entry has not been created yet. So we can create new entry. So add a loop and a finish, and if it's null, then we go to the loop. So we are going to create that entry over here in this new state here, and if it's not null, then go back to finish to our first state here. Okay, and now we are going to add entry. Okay, let's check for a while. So under set score entry, we are going to create a object. So let's create a new object. Create an object and choose our score entry and leave all of the other settings to none, and we are going to store the object to our name object. And then we are going to set transform parent. So we are going to set the parent of this game object to our name name here, name group. Okay, and we can just disable the world position stays. Okay, and then we are going to set the text. So we are going to use UGI, I think set text, is it? Set text. Okay, this. We are going to use this action, and we are going to set the name object text to the name, and then we are going to set its game object name. So basically, the score entry that gets created, we are going to rename the object. So set game object name, or set name, I think set name, yeah, set name. So this name object that we have created, choose that name object that we created and rename the name to the variable that we got from the first action here, first state. Okay, I hope so far it's quite clear. Just bear with me, you will see. And I'm going to copy all of this object and paste this to a second set here, and we are going to create a new variable, and this time it's going to be the score object. And for the set transform parent, we are going to drag the score object here, the score group, and set this as the parent. And one thing that I forgot is to make sure that the game objects are going to be set transform parent here is the name object here, and here is the score object. Okay, and for the UGI set text, make sure this is the score object also, and the text, just set this to a 0 value, and set the name, score object to the name, to the string that we retrieve here. Okay, and then we are going to add an array. So we are going to create a new array. We need to create it by here under the variables tab. So just go to the variable tabs, choose array, and we are going to create a name list, and this name list, the object type will be string, and create a new array score list, and this score list, the object type will be integer. So this should be string and this one should be integer. Okay, so under array add, we are going to add the string name to this array, so we can retrieve our index later when we are going to adding the score. So we can search by index, and we can keep track the value inside our score list. So I'm going to add an array add, and let's set the score list to a value of 0. So it will create a new entry on the score list, but with a default value of 0, and later we can change this value to the score that each player has achieved or has retrieved. Okay, so okay, so next we are going to compare the string. Compare string, where is it? String compare. So we need to get our owner player. Let me see for a while. Okay, we need to create a new string here. So let's create a new string, this client name, and under our game manager, when we have created the room, or we are joining the room, we need to send an set an FSM string. So set FSM string, but before we sending FSM string, we need to find, oh, we don't need to find the game object, sorry, we just need to specify the game object and drag the score panel over here and choose the FSM of the score panel. I'm going to rename the FSM first so it doesn't get confusing later. Score manager, and then under the game manager here we are going to choose the score manager, and the variable name we are going to look for this client name, and we are going to set this client name to the name that we have created over here. Okay, just copy this FSM set FSM string action and paste this onto the second here. Okay, save the scene, go back to our score panel. Let's compare the name to this client name and add a finish transition. Go back to the loop here, and we are going to create a new event, change color, and I'm going to add transition. So basically what I'm trying to do over here is to, if the entry that we are currently creating in this state is the same name with this client name, then we are going to change the color so we can see, we can separate visually, we can see our name right away. So it has different color in the list with compared to the other entry name. Okay, under equal event, equal change color, not equal, we go to finish, and here I think it's GUI graphic set color. Okay, add a finish transition, and when finish, just go back to the loop here and change this color to a white value. For the game object, I'm going to set the name object, and I'm going to copy this action and set the second one the score object. Okay, so save this, and this is basically, I hope this is working, I don't know, but let's just continue first, and we need to create one more global action here, which we are going to add score, and make sure that add score is a global event here. So if you haven't checked this, just click here and add global transition, add score. So under add score, we are going to get the index from our name list first. So this is where the array we have created before are being useful. So choose the name list and the value with name that we have currently, and then we are going to retrieve the index. So create a new variable called retrieve index, and then we need to get the index, or we need to get the integer from the score list here. So from that retrieve index, we are going to get the value, and we are going to create a new variable to store this value here. So temp integer or temp score integer. Okay, sorry. Okay, I don't know what's wrong back there. Just going to ignore that. And then array contains array get. Okay, I think, yep. And then we need to add this integer, so we are adding score. So choose integer add, and then put this below here, and we are going to add by 1. And after that, we are going to set the array back. So we are going to put this value back to our array score list and the retrieve index, and we are going to set the value to the updated temp score integer. And we need to find child, so we are going to find our text score object, the child. So specify game object and drag the score group. So we are going to find the child inside this group with the game object name, with the name that's same as our name variable over here. And actually this name variable, we are going to get this name from the bullets that hit the player, so the player who fired that shot. Okay, find child. That's okay. Now we need to name, and we are going to store this to a score object too. So you can use this, because at this point we are not going to use this game variable anymore, because we already set our table before. So okay, and then we are going to convert integer to string. So here we need to convert our temp score to a new variable. Let's call this temp score temporary score string, and then we are going to set text. So use the UGY set text, and basically we are going to change the value of this, which one was it? Okay, the score object, and we are going to set the text value to the temp score string. So we are going to change the string of this score object text to this updated score integer that gets converted to a string before running this action. So I think that should be okay. Okay, so let's check this. So basically under shoot manager, we already separate the name, and then we have set the name to this variable. Okay, now the next thing, just save it before and go to our player prefabs, and under health manager we need to get FSM string. So we need to get this FSM string from the bullet here. So put this on below the get FSM float and specify game object, choose the bullet object, and the FSM name is called bullet damage, and the variable name, it is called player name with capital P and capital N. I think, just check to make sure. Yep, that's right. Go back to our player prefabs here, and we are going to store the value to a new variable. So let's name this killer because basically we are going to check who shots the fire before the player is dead. So we are going to save this store value as a killer, and here under the dead we can check, or we can send that info. So basically we are going to find a game object first. Why do we need to find a game object? Because the player is a prefab and we need to send a string variable to our score panel, and our score panel is actually already on the scene, so we need to search that. So I'm going to search by name, use a score panel here with the same capitalization and the same tag also. I think it's untagged. Yep, correct, it's untagged. And store this to a new object. Let's name this also score panel, and then we are going to set FSM string. So this is where we are sending our name, our killer name, to the score panel. So specify game object, choose the score panel, and for the FSM I think it's score manager. Okay, it's score manager. So go back to our player here, and the variable name, we are going to use the name variable, and we are going to set the value to our killer here. So when we are executing this state here, the value name will get updated before all of these actions get executed. So this will be updated from this action here. So yep, from this action here, and then we are going to send an event. So let's send an event here, and for the event, sorry, we just put this event below the set FSM string, and choose game object FSM, specify game object, use the score panel object, and I think this is score manager, just like this one. Yeah, the same FSM, and we are going to send the global event that called add score. Okay, yep. Okay, I think that would be all. Oh, one thing I forgot, under the game manager we need to send an RPC event. If you remember, on our shoot manager we have this RPC shot, and basically this RPC shot is get fired from the player here under the shooting, and basically this is not just some usual or the standard send event, but we are using the Photon View RPC broadcast FSM event. So we need to use this action also to update our table. Okay, so now I'm going to create a wait action first. So here, use wait. 1 second will be sufficient, I think, and add a finish transition. Okay, add transition finish, and choose finish here, and I'm going to add also finish under the create room, and copy this action here. Okay, and basically we are going to create a new update score table. Whenever a player create a new room or joining a room, we will be updating the score table. So go to this event here. Okay, yep, let me check for a while. Okay, under the update score table we are going to use the RPC broadcast FSM event here, and for the remote event let's choose this reset table and set the string data to none here. Yeah, and in order for this to work, we need to create a Photon View component. So create a Photon View here, and we are going to observe room manage FSM. So drag the room manage here to this, and just leave the other settings to the default settings. Okay, and another thing, we need to create a new FSM under the game manager. So basically this is for viewing our score. So we are going to show and hide by pressing a button. So basically we are going to use an activate game object here and specify game object, and we are going to hide this first. So underscore panel, we are going to hide the child here, that's called panel. And this is why I've created another child before the name and the score object. So we need to hide this. We can hide the visual display of our score panel, but the FSM will keep running. Okay, go back to our game manager and choose get key down here. Under get key down, I'm going to use a tab button, which is the usual or the standard keys for showing score in a game like Counter-Strike. And let's create a new event, display and hide. Oh, sorry, display and hide, and we are going to display this. And on the second state, we are going to activate that panel, and we are going to add a hide transition and go back to the first state. And on the second state, we are going to use get key up, and this will be hide for send event, and choose tab for the key. So basically, when we are holding our tab, it will show the score, and we release, it will hide it. Okay, first let's try this, see if it's working. I'm going to use my name for testing, create room. Okay, if I press tab, oh sorry, oh yeah, there is one problem here because somehow I hide the canvas over here. So maybe it would be a better practice to create a new canvas over here with a higher number. So I'm just going to copy this value here, copy component, and for the second canvas we are going to paste this component, sorry, not as new component, but we are going to paste the component values. And let's make a higher sort order compared to this one here, and let's move our score panel to this second canvas over here. Okay, so now save the scene and let's try it again. Rename this, give it a random name. There you can see we have a name and a score. Okay, to make things interesting, let's go to our prefabs folder, and under score entry, make sure that alignment is in the middle and center, and justification in the middle, so it will be in the middle. Okay, and now to test the function or multiplayer function, we need to output to build the scene tutorial, and I'm going to build the game here. Yes, just replace it and choose build and run, so it will run automatically. Hopefully it works. Okay, let's play this, and if I've run this game, and let's run this on our client also. I'm going to create a room here, and for this client I'm going to name this Bill, and let's join. Okay, so basically we have two player, and if we press tab, as you can see here in this client, the owner is Bill, but if I go to this window and I go press tab, the owner is me, Romi. So we can see the different highlights, the color text, and if I try to shoot the player, let's try to kill this other player here. One more. Okay, let's okay, we have added the build score, and the same will work if we try it on here on the other side. So okay, let's just, where is it? Okay, let's run it one more time, and I'm going to try to to kill the player from this client here. Join, yep. So okay, here I'm going, oh sorry, why it doesn't get updated. This is correct, and okay, this is a stupid mistake, but somehow I've run the build from the test build, not the tutorial build. So I've just run from the tutorial build once and it's working correctly, so I'm going to show you here. Okay, so just put my name here, and for the second one let's put Bill and join room. So here under the client here, the build is white, and here room is white. Okay, so it's working actually, but I've run the different client. It's mistake on my end. So let's try to kill this player here. Okay, 1 2 3 4. Okay, now let's check the score. Okay, we get increase in our score over here. So I think that will be all for this tutorial, and this is quite a lengthy tutorial. Hopefully all is clear, and if you have any questions, just ask under the comment below. I really hope you like this and hope you find this useful, and if you like, don't forget to subscribe. Also, really appreciate any donation if you could donate, because the donation will help me to create better tutorials more often. And thanks for watching.